Hello and welcome to another video by Day Night Gaming. In this video I'd like to discuss the concurrent player numbers for the Western release of Lost Ark as of the month of June 2022. Now I'm going to read a very popular article that has been circulating online. Please keep in mind that this is originally in Chinese and I have used Google Translate to convert it into English, so some of the words might be lost in translation. It starts off by saying the Steam version of Lost Ark has more than 800,000 simultaneous online users. A few days ago, South Korea's Smilegate RPG said that its Steam version of Lost Ark has exceeded 800,000 concurrent users after a large-scale update, including the core content known as Legion Commander Raid. The Steam version of Lost Ark updated the first Legion Commander Volton on May 19th and launched a new class known as the Destroyer and a variety of guild-related content. Among them, Volton as the first Legion Commander Raid for Lost Ark is the ultimate core content that leads the popular myth of Lost Ark in Korea. The highest number of simultaneous online users of the Steam version of Lost Ark started from the first update in early April and continued to rise, reaching 800,000 by May 31st. At present, although Lost Ark has been on Steam for more than 3 months, it still ranks in the top 3 of Steam's popular game list and the first in the RPG category. In this regard, the CEO of Smilegate RPG said that Lost Ark's core ultimate content, the Legion Commander Raids, which is both fun and competitive at the same time, has gained a lot of popularity in Western Europe. This proves that as long as you work hard to develop a fun game, you can be loved by players anywhere in the world. The company is also preparing for continuous updates in the future, making it the #1 MMORPG in the world and working hard to bring happiness to players for a long time. In case you're interested, I will put the link to the article in the description below. Alright, so now that we've looked at that article, let's actually take a look at the Steam charts and actually look at Steam's concurrent players. So as of June 21st, we're looking at a little over 300,000 players. And then if we look back as far as a month ago, we can see that the numbers are vastly different. As of June 14th, we're looking at over 850,000, almost 870,000 players. So this is around the time frame when they were celebrating breaching 800,000 concurrent players in that article that we were talking about. But shortly after that, we're going to notice that they had a very large ban wave for all the bots that were plaguing the game. And as you can see here, we're looking at 500, 400, 300, all the way down to 200,000 players. So that's when we can actually see that there's a more realistic representative value of how many actual players are playing Lost Ark versus the bots. So we're looking at going from 800,000 to about 200,000. And remember, after that ban wave happened, there were still plenty of bots in the game. And as you can see here, the concurrent player base has risen up to above 300,000. And that's mainly, in my opinion, because these bot farms are going back online. They're making brand new accounts and getting ready to start their bot invasion again. And you're going to slowly see this climb up and up and up again over the next preceding month or so. And like the community manager Shadow Fox says here, there will always be bots. But how many bots are we talking about? How many bots do the developers think is an acceptable amount of bot population versus real player population? And as you can see here, the concurrent player base has risen up to above 300,000. And that's mainly, in my opinion, because these bot farms are going back online. They're making brand new accounts and getting ready to start their bot invasion again. And you're going to slowly see this climb up and up and up again over the next preceding month or so. And to be honest, we're probably looking at 200,000 or less actual real players, and we're not really gaining new players. And I think that's a very large problem with Lost Ark, is that while it's very easy for bots to make new accounts, we are not actually gaining real new players. And if they do play, a lot of them quit very early because player retention for Lost Ark, especially for the new player experience coming into a player base that is already advanced and matured 3 or 4 months ahead, can be very exhausting. I mean, let's face it, there are very few catch-up mechanics, and there are very few incentives for players in the upper tiers to even interact with players in the lower tiers. While a lot of veteran Lost Ark players will say that it's not a race, take your time, It's okay. You don't need to rush to the end game. To be completely honest, levels 1 through 50, tiers 1 and tier 2 are completely segregated from tier 3 players. And there are so many veteran players in tier 3, especially at the higher ends of tier 3, that there are very few players to play with during the level 1 through 50 story arc, as well as tier 1 and tier 2. I'm guessing it's very hard for a tier 1 player to actually matchmake and find other players to do tier 1 guardians with, or to find other players to adventure and do tier 1 abyss dungeon. And I know supposedly tier 1 and tier 2 is supposed to be a learning experience for players to learn how to play the game, but at this point, how are they expected to learn if they can't even find groups? And then people will say, oh, it's cheap to just buy your honing material and hone up to tier 3, but how much gold generation do those players have? How is a new player supposed to generate enough gold to quickly hone their way up to tier 3? They have to do it the normal way, but there's no one to play with them anymore. And if our current player base is at 200,000 now, of course over time we're gonna slowly lose players, because players are gonna quit regardless as time goes on. That's true with any game. But definitely for MMOs, it's very important that they continuously replenish or grow their player base, because as we start to lose players, it gets harder and harder to do content as years go by. At this point in time, I firmly believe that Lost Ark needs to look into improving the new player experience, and as well as increasing player retention if they really want to focus on player growth. It is honestly a slap in the face to hear that Smilegate RPG in Korea is celebrating crossing 800,000 concurrent players when 600,000 of those are bots. Seriously, having a bot population of 3 times larger than the actual player base is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And while I do not know the best solution, I do know that other international versions of Lost Ark have a multitude of catch-up mechanics in place to help get new players up to an enjoyable experience. Of course, there are a contingent of players who do not want catch-up mechanics in place in the Western version. A lot of gatekeepers who want to tower above all the plebs below them. I see it in the forums all the time. Players saying things like, it's not that hard to get to tier 3. People saying things like, I'm free to play and I got to 1440 playing only 2 to 3 hours a day. Blah blah blah. So what? Even if what they say is true, that was during a time when a vast majority of players were progressing together. Now, especially more than ever, it's a slog for a brand new player with little to no gold generation to start fresh and get through the story and then get through tier 1 and tier 2. People complain about the dead zone between 1340 to 1370, which by the way is rough, but I doubt it pales in comparison to the dead zone that is the new player experience. With all of this in mind, if the developers do not wish to implement catch-up mechanics like increased honing rates for tier 1 and tier 2, or story skips like Punika Pass, then they need to explore alternate avenues to help progression through those dead tiers. Now with that in mind, I play a lot of other online games, and most notably, if you have been following my channel for some time now, you probably have noticed that I play quite a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. In that game, as an example, there's a system called Duty Roulette. These roulettes have different modes to choose from, but all of them focus around helping newer players progress through content. Every day, a player can queue in for each of these various duty roulettes and get a nice little bonus like boosted experience or currency that they can use to purchase gear. Each time a player queues into a duty roulette, they will get into a random dungeon or raid that they already have access to, which can range from low-level instances and possibly all the way up to their current content. From there, they will have their gear, stats, and skills equalized down to the difficulty of the content in question. This of course can really help low-level players get into content within a reasonable queue time, because veteran players will also get rewarded for helping them. And at the same time, the new players get to experience the content at the difficulty that it was intended to be, because all the players have had their characters equalized down to the content. This is a win-win situation for everyone. Now I know what many of you may be thinking. We already have that system in place. It's called Event Guardian Raids. Well, no. Event Guardian Raids do not give story completion for the regular Guardian Raid content. Also, Event Guardian Raids can only be completed 3 times a week per roster, which is very different from the regular Guardian Raids. Also, this is not for all types of content in the game, whereas FF14 has it for story dungeons and main scenario quests, trials, and other various raids. Anyway, I'm sure there are a plethora of different ideas that Smilegate RPG and Amazon Game Studios can explore to help the new player experience. If they need to think outside of the box, they better start pursuing those avenues soon because development time can take quite a long time to get through. Anyway, I think it's very important to improve the new player experience and get some new real players into the game and playing fun content with other players and not have to solo for weeks on end. Anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions. I'd like to hear yours, so go ahead and comment down below. I try my best to read every comment that I see. And happy hunting. Peace. Thank you, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider hitting that thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button, and ringing that bell for future notifications on videos that I might be posting in the future. And in case you're interested in supporting the channel even more, I do have a merch website at streamlabs.com/DNGdangerous/merch. And until next time, take care, goodbye.